Thank you for coming by. This is an American Project. Please be sure to like the video for me, and if you like my shows, be sure and subscribe. The court ordered New York Attorney General to withdraw the letter saying $464 million for Trump bond is not impossible. Shortly after, New York Attorney General Letitia James filed a letter asking the New York Supreme Court to not consider that the $464 million bond former President Donald Trump needs to post to keep his assets from being seized is a practical impossibility. The court ordered her to remove it. The letter was attached to a request to file a sure reply, a reply to a reply, which generally isn't done unless the court grants express permission. In the March 21st letter, the defense argued that predictably, the letter received widespread media coverage, even though it was improperly filed. And it was taken down the same day and refiled with only the request and no letter. In the original letter, Ms. James had asked the court not to accept the testimonies of a Trump attorney and broker who detailed the efforts they'd gone through in trying to obtain a $464 million bond, claiming they were unreliable sources. The defense faulted the state for not providing any reason to doubt any of their assertions, however, and only making a blanket statement. While attempting to cynically and wrongfully tar the defendant's witnesses as unreliable, the Attorney General does not actually dispute the truth of a single one of their specific claims. The sworn affidavits submitted revealed that the defense had sought out the large bond since before a final judgment was entered, raising the fine from $250 million to more than $350 million during the last days of the trial. And then negotiations by 4 brokers with 30-plus surety companies still resulted in no deal. One of the brokers provided additional context saying a $100 million bond was considered large, and a $464 million bond, which includes the ordered interest, is something few sureties have the ability to issue and would issue only for large publicly traded companies. The Attorney General had argued that these affidavits still didn't provide enough information on why the defendants had been turned down, suggesting that Trump Organization assets aren't as valuable as the defense claims. Trump blasts out-of-control New York AG Letitia James. He says he should be entitled to damages. The Attorney General is inartfully attempting a losing argument of heads I win, tails you lose. The letter reads, so, if all the bonds were put in place like she wanted, it would be over $557 million in cash, and there would be irreparable damage to Donald Trump and his property. President Trump had posted on social media that to divest of his buildings in a fire sale would create irreparable damage. He would lose the buildings he was appealing to keep. His lawyers called it a textbook irreparable injury. It would be completely illogical in a definition of an unconstitutional excessive fine and a taking to require defendants to sell properties at all, and especially in a fire sale, in order to be able to appeal the lawless Supreme Court judgment, as that would cause harm that cannot be repaired once the defendants do win, as is overwhelmingly likely on appeal, the defense argued. So let's move on to see how it turned out. The New York State Supreme Court's First Judicial Department Appellate Division has granted a stay of enforcement on the $464 million judgment on former President Donald Trump, with conditions, allowing the Trump Organization to avert having assets imminently seized by the New York Attorney General. The order came after the defense attorneys argued that a $464 million bond was impossible after having contracted 4 brokers to negotiate with more than 30 companies. Sureties don't issue bonds that large for private individuals, they said. It also said if the Trump Organization were a public conglomerate they could issue such a bond to, it would require some $570 million in cash to cover additional premiums. The court's conditions for lowering the bond include President Trump posting a $175 million bond within 10 days and the other orders on the judgment going into effect. The judgment permanently bars former Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg and former Comptroller Jeffrey McConney from serving in the financial control of any New York business's entity. Permanently bars President Trump, Mr. Weisselberg, and Mr. Coney from serving as an officer or director of any New York corporation for 3 years, which I've covered that in some of my other videos. It also bars President Trump from applying for loans from New York financial institutions for 3 years and bars Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump from serving as an officer or director in New York for 2 years. The stay is conditioned on appeals being completed by September. Okay, so it's still before the election. That's what they wanted. President Trump said he would be posting a $175 million bond quickly. He also released a statement shortly after the appellate ruling criticizing Justice Arthur Engoron and saying that the new order showed how ridiculous his original order was. Quote, "This is a confrontation between a judge and those that rule above him. A very bad situation in which to place New York State and the rule of law," he stated. This is the 5th time in this case that he has been overturned, a record. His credibility and that of Letitia James has been shattered. Trump maintains that he never did anything wrong and that it's a move that's political. Okay, and for round 2, let's take a look at the stock, what's going on with Truth Social stock. Shares of former President Donald Trump's social media and technology company jumped about 50% on Tuesday in its first day of trading on the NASDAQ before it was briefly halted for volatility. After making its debut, shares for the Trump Media and Technology Group, stock called DJT, spiked 50%. But it was briefly halted because of a sharp rise before it had resumed trading at around 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time. Reports indicated that more than 6.5 million shares of the Trump stock were bought and sold by around 9:50 a.m. Eastern Time. The company is now worth about $10 billion. With the development, President Trump entered the world's 500 wealthiest people list on Tuesday, as compiled by the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. His net worth increased by $4 billion on Monday, giving him an estimated $6.5 billion fortune. And there's your doubleheader. And there you have it. Thanks for coming by. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and have a great day. God bless.